FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. This is a no-limit high-stakes cash game which has drawn some of the most famous faces in poker here to London, all of whom are trying to make as much profit as possible in order to be crowned Season 3 champion. Plenty of action guaranteed as we hand you over to your commentators.
Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. I'm David Tuckman alongside Gary Jones, and there's our new player, Andy Block. Joins the table with $100,000. He's got nearly $4 million in tournament winnings. Anything you know about him, Gary?
Well, he came second in an epic heads-up match against Chip Reese in the $50,000 horse. Managed to take home over $1 million for that second place. Very, very consistent player, and he was actually part of the blackjack team from MIT that managed to take an awful lot of money out of Vegas a good few years ago. Made a TV film out of it as well.
So what you're saying is he's smart.
He's a very, very smart cookie.
Well, he's got Ace-7 suited here.
Well, he came to play. There's been a raise up from Tom Dwan, also known as Durrrr.
Wow, I heard Daniel was like the biggest loser in golf up until recently.
And Tom's winning right now with the Ace-Jack of diamonds. Just those two to the flop. Nearly 10,000 to go.
949.
Not much there on the flop. 994. A couple of hearts out there.
Get lessons and learn how to hit the ball. But see, I can never win because I like to have too much fun. These guys get serious. They give each other short strokes and lie.
Pot is.
Me, I'd rather when I go golf.
Turn is the Jack of Hearts.
Laugh and have fun. I can never golf for like. These guys get so.
Tom Dwan has actually made top pair here. He's got two pair, Jacks and 9s with an ace kicker.
No, that was the line. They have a line, like on your putting, like
step in people's lines, really?
When I go out and golf,
you must be fun to play with.
I just want to drink. I never drank in my whole life, but when I go to the golf course, I said, let's drink beers, just have fun.
Looks like Tom's going to make
I never take it serious.
a bet here.
You have fun when Mike steps in your line.
I don't care. I wear sneakers.
Well, he's in position on Andy the Rock Block.
600.
And he's going to live up to his name more than likely. I can't imagine him doing anything creative. He passes. And that one goes to Tom.
Button in front of Andy Block. Action on Phil Hellmuth. Tom Dwan is straddling this pot, so it's 1,200 to play.
1,200 to play. Pass.
Just to remind our viewers, we have over $2 million at the table. Yes, that's correct. $2 million at this table.
The problem was is people weren't going to say he's bluffed or whatever. They looked at him as, he's steaming, and he was. Because they know you're the king steam of all time.
You're a beauty, Mike.
I love you too, buddy.
You really are.
Who loves you more than I do?
You guys want to hold hands or something?
You don't love me.
Your wife
I mean,
does.
you don't love me. I know that. I mean,
I don't? You're right. I can't stand your ass. How's that? Is that better?
you love me, but you
What?
you don't treat me very well.
Well, because I'm told to berate. I've been told to berate you. That's why.
That's not what I'm talking about. I don't care about berating. That's all right with me. You can do all that.
Very well. Crazy. How much is this?
5,000.
5,000. That's a lot of money. Okay, I'll make gamble.
He's going to see a flop.
Pass.
Matusow has about $86,000 behind.
5,000.
Of course, David Benyamine has $664,000. Tom Dwan down over 200,000, but still has 230 in front of him. And of course, he is the last to act because he was a live straddle, right?
That's correct, yeah. He's done the over blind. That's induced the big raise from Phil to 5,000. And now we've seen a few callers of Phil's raise. He's decided to make a big re-raise, putting the squeeze play on.
Pass.
The big re-raise looks like it might get through from Tom.
Pass. Easy money.
Another day, another bluff, huh, kid?
button in front of Mike the Mouth. Phil Hellmuth has decided to live straddle. He's put $1,200 in there. He'll get to act last. Phil Ivey will be acting first. He's under the gun.
Maybe it's good. Maybe if you have the hand all the time. 4,000 to play. Maybe the time that you have.
Raised it up to 4,000.
Kind of a smallish raise, right?
Oh yeah, it's still over 3 times the live straddle, so it's just we've had a few 5,000 raises recently. Seems a little small. Andy Block's in there with his pair of 8s.
Yeah, he's got the snowman.
He's also got the button now.
Tom Dwan's got 7s. Now we know he's an aggressive player. Is he going to try to take it away all the way right now? No, he's just going to call.
Yeah, mixing his game up a little. It's going to be 3 of them to the flop.
And they've all got pocket pairs. Of course, Andy Block with the best of them.
5s, 7s, and 8s. Small flop could mean plenty of action.
9, 10, 6.
Well, they could make a straight between them, but right now, the 8s and 7s both with a straight draw.
Check.
Now, it's not inconceivable to think with a flop like this that all of these players think they're good.
Yeah, quite possibly. No aces, no kings, no queens.
Pot is 14,300.
There's 3 hearts there now. And 2 of the players have got hearts. Actually, no, all 3 of the players have got hearts.
Block with the only relevant one, though, of course. Block, of course, with the straight flush draw, but he can't make it.
Yeah, the card that he needs is actually in Tom Dwan's hand. And Tom Dwan with the straight flush draw, but his card's in Andy Block's hand.
Now, did Andy Block make a mistake by not betting that flop?
10,000.
Well, he probably feels like there's a good chance that he's in front. He probably should have tried to protect his hand, but he probably wanted the free card just in case a 7 peels off on the turn. For me, it probably was a mistake. I would have bet it in that spot.
Well, it's a $10,000 bet from Tom Dwan. You give him an inch, he'll take a mile. And Phil Ivey knows it.
Pretty sure Andy Block's going to call this bet from Tom Dwan. Might be a little bit harder if Phil Ivey decides to call, which he does.
Cool.
Phil Ivey in all sorts of trouble against Tom's hand. Andy's probably reading Phil for a big heart. Might think there's still a good chance that he's out in front. Quick look to see if he's got a heart.
By the way, now Block and Dwan straight draws are no good because the other player would make a full house.
Cool.
He calls as well. All 3 of them are going to see the river.
That's a big pot here. $46,000 pot here to the river.
Last card, deuce.
Well, that's about as blank as you can get, huh?
Exactly.
Check or bet.
You can bet that Andy Block is hoping this goes to showdown. Doesn't want him to put any more money in the pot.
Check.
Check from Tom.
Check.
Check from Phil.
Show and take.
And a check from Andy. He's going to be happy with this one.
7s and 9s up. 8s and 9s up.
5, 7s and 8s out there. The 8s stay in front.
Well, the chips are flying, the stakes are raised. Join us again after the break for more Champagne Poker. There are some cool heads gambling some big pots here at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game. So let's hand you straight back to your commentators, Gary Jones and David Tuckman.
Ivey probably had like ace-jack.
Chris Jesus Ferguson first to act.
Ivey had some outs.
Phil Ivey has decided to straddle this one. Once again, it's $1,200 to play. Blinds are 300, 600, 1,200. Pot is $2,900 before anybody gets any cards.
Pass. 4,000 to play.
Oh, and this could be some action.
Cool.
The ladies
Pass.
for Andy Block. Mike Matusow, he's got the hooks.
Pass. Cool.
And Phil Ivey calling with 8-9. So Queens, Jacks, and 8-9.
You can't have a party without Phil Ivey. To the flop. Oh, and that could definitely be dangerous. Now 3 spades there.
Check.
Also
Mike.
a straight draw for Phil, but yes, the black jack for Matusow might mean he's
8,000 to play.
going to push this one a little bit hard.
And you can see the percentages.
Cool.
Block ahead, but he can't love the flop, can he?
Well, it's not a bad flop for pocket queens. The 3 spades are obviously going to scare him, but as long as another one doesn't come down, he's probably going to play it like it's the best hand right now. Mike using his position, using his information. You know that Andy Block's not likely to power one through without anything, and that's a good card for Mike Matusow.
Check.
And of course, a bad card for the action.
Yeah, I can't imagine Andy Block wanting to stick any more money in this pot.
And I like the check here from Matusow, I really do.
8.
Most definitely. He's not going to get a caller by a hand he can beat. At least not on the turn. Maybe now if it's small enough.
8,000.
Man, this is... Could be a really bad value bet you made.
Whoa.
Yeah, you got lucky. Good thing for me you didn't move in pre-flop. Well, in poker you have to be fearless. You have to be willing to put all your money in the pot, if you've got the right odds, or if you think you have the best hand, even if it's only ace high, even if you don't have a pair by the river, if you think your opponent is bluffing, you've got to be willing to put the money out there. And if you think your opponent's got a marginal hand, you've got to be willing to bluff with all your chips.
We're at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. 8 of the best players assembled, battling it out on the felt. Over $2 million on the table. Patrick Antonius has decided to straddle. Action over to Mike the Mouth.
There's a real good chance he never saw the 9-10 offsuit once. That he saw the Jack 4 Queen 3 almost every hand.
1,200 to play.
You know, 100 times and have it comes up tails every time. It's possible.
David Benyamine, such a creative player, isn't he?
He certainly is. He can quite often find an excuse to play any 2 cards here. The 7-4 of diamonds. Not a raisable hand in most people's books.
No, it's a UV thing. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna rephrase it. At least I know Russ cheated me out of it. There you go.
Looks like a re-raise from Tom Dwan.
No, I don't want to throw it at you.
Fold.
That's why I clarified it.
Can't imagine Chris calling with ace-3, despite it being the best hand so far. Queen Jack for Patrick Antonius. It'd probably have called David Benyamine's raise, but maybe not a re-raise. No, he throws that one away.
Obviously, we can see that Tom Dwan is re-raising with a very marginal hand, but the rest of the table doesn't know that, and Benyamine doesn't care. He's going to call this re-raise with the 7-4 diamonds. These two have history, don't they?
They certainly do. They played an awful lot together online. Well, there's a little bit there for both players.
Oh, it's a monster flop for Benyamine. He's flopped bottom pair with the flush draw. Dwan, of course, with the best hand right now. And this is an absolute coin flip, isn't it?
It certainly is. But the thing is, David Benyamine probably feels like he can push his hand more than Tom. So if he puts a lot of heat on dirt,
8.
well, it's gone check, check. He's probably going to be thankful he did that, Tom. He's now going to get a bet from David Benyamine.
There's a nice pot controlling check there on the flop. By
Exactly.
Durrrr.
You might get a bet here from David Benyamine.
And
he's a much better favourite now.
And let's just not forget that Benyamine broke Dwan just a little while earlier when they both hit their straights. But of course, Benyamine's was higher.
18.
And it's an $18,000 bet from Benyamine. And you think maybe a smooth call here?
Well, I can't imagine him raising.
Well, there's no real value in raising, is there?
Not unless he thinks he can get David to lay down a weak ace. But I'm guessing a smooth call is going to be...
Okay, bring me 500 more.
That looks like what he's doing. We're going to see a river.
Hey, blinds don't mean nothing when y'all playing for $500,000 behind. Not with you guys.
Last card.
Pot is now $61,000 to the river.
Last card
The river's a
6.
6 of clubs.
That's a great card for Tom Dwan because it hasn't brought a diamond and it hasn't brought a 4 or a 7. So he's still in front. The question is whether David can keep firing. Bet at 45, 50,000 can be very hard for Tom to call.
Well, these are two masters of the game. Even though Dwan is only 22, he's been around for a while. And of course, Benyamine, very well respected.
He's reaching for his chips.
Well, Benyamine's put some of his children in the pot. He's not going to leave them stranded. Or is he? Those black chips are $25,000 chips.
51,500 for that.
51,500. It'd be very difficult for Tom Dwan to call this.
Well, Benyamine is a master of making his bluffs and his value bets look exactly the same. Very difficult for a player to know what he's got. And all Dwan can beat is an absolute bluff.
Of course.
$112,000. This is real money. Even though these players toss in the chips like they're nothing. $112,000.
He's putting the chips together. It's looking like he's going to call.
Well, we've seen him make huge laydowns. Can he make a huge call? He's seen thousands of hands. Run them all through his head. And that's what he's doing here. Can you figure this one out, Gary?
I thought he was going to call for a minute. I'm really not sure right now. That looked like an acceptance of defeat. It is. He passes, and David Benyamine gets that bluff through.
Showed another bluff.
Nice hand.
Shows another bluff to durrrr.
It's been a masterclass in high-stakes, big-game tactics here at the Full Tilt Poker.net $1 Million Cash Game. We'll see you after this.
Phil Ivey has bought in for $500,000 more. Those black chips are $25,000 chips. And Phil Ivey now has $750,000 at this table. Benyamine with nearly $700,000. And we have over $2.6 million on this table. Absolutely insanity.
Yeah, an incredible amount of money.
Am I dealing you in?
I'm out.
1,200 straddle.
This hand doesn't count.
Phil, I don't think you should be able to wear headsets around here. I mean, you got.
I don't know about headsets.
I mean,
you can't turn mic out that easy.
I mean, we're all having fun here. I mean, even Ivy's
I'm not allowed to wear a headset. I'm out.
Well, Phil Ivey's definitely come to play, and he's got the chips to do it.
Well, Chris has finally found a hand.
Well, this is what
He's been
Chris
quiet
does.
for a while. Exactly. He just sits there, patient, waits, finds a hand, and you can be pretty sure it's a raised pot by the time he does.
I mean, you talk about textbook poker. He doesn't play many hands. The ones he plays them hard. He plays them fast.
12,000 is his bet. And Patrick Antonius keeps finding these half hands, but he's usually behind a raise and a re-raise when he does.
Oh. King Jack offsuit, hardly even a half hand when Ferguson is re-raised, though, is it?
Exactly.
You're likely up against, you're definitely dominated in that spot usually. No, I think Antonius is an easy fold, obviously, because his hand is easily dominated. But can Ivey call this for 8,000 more?
I think he
got
possibly
live
can.
cards.
He's got the button, he's got live cards, and he's got an awful lot of money in front of him, and so's Chris.
I mean, he knows Ferguson's probably not going to bet unless he hits.
And he has called.
Pot is $32,500, and we haven't even seen a flop yet.
Kind of like Phil said to David yesterday. Do you like winning and losing $8 million? Do you enjoy it?
Well, there's nothing there for Chris. There's a 7 for Phil. 32,500 in the middle.
Now, this will be interesting to see how Chris plays this. Chris chooses Ferguson. What we've seen so far from him is this would be normally a check play from him. And pretty much give the pot away to Ivey.
I think he's going to do a single continuation,
but Chris Ferguson always mixing up his game. One of the reasons why he has 5 World Series of Poker bracelets and, of course, the 2000 World Championship. $25,000 bet. And what do you do if you're Ivey here?
I think he's going to make one call. He's got position. I think the bet's actually 22,000 with the call from Phil. Let's see what the turn brings.
Jack.
A jack, that's 3 spades out there, but neither player with a spade, but really think this might slow Chris down.
Well, the pot is $76,000. When he bets 22,000 and gets called by Ivey, he's got to put Ivey on something, whether it's a pair or a spade draw. And he's got to know he's behind now, doesn't he?
Exactly. The question is whether Phil can actually protect his hand now. He gives a free card. There's 10s, kings, and aces that can put Chris in front.
And of course, he doesn't know that a spade is safe.
Well, I think he can be pretty sure if Chris Ferguson had the ace of spades or king of spades in his hand, he might have had another bullet at this one.
Well, it's a big bet. There's 2 black chips in there. Those are 25,000 each.
I think this pot's over.
I imagine it is. About a $58,000 pot. $58,000 bet, sorry, with a $132,000 pot. And Chris really put into a tough spot here, out of position with ace-king. I think you're right. I don't think he can call this.
Just going to double check. He's got no spade in his hand, and then he throws it away.
7-4.
I don't get involved in those.
7-4 is good.
6-4. Theatrics.
Yeah. 6-4 with 2 hearts.
I just play the game. Okay.
You never bluff, right? I say we should say anybody who bluffs a pot that has more than 50,000 of it, everybody has to throw them each 1,000.
I was bluffing there.
Okay. We can play the 7 dudes.
You know, I feel like when I come to a poker table, I have a certain presence, and other poker players, you don't feel them there. They have to vocalize their presence. You know, I don't need to do that.
Phil Ivey is dangerous because he's Phil Ivey. He has no fear. He's gonna play as hard as possible.
Very controlled aggression, moving at the right time, make informed decisions from there, and Phil Ivey is one of the best at that.
You know, if they're playing tight, then I could take advantage of that, and if they're playing a little loose, I could take advantage of that also. So I think I'm very tough to play against.
He's a very focused guy, and he can when he starts playing his best, you don't want to play with him because he can be really, really good.
I would say he has no weaknesses. Phil Ivey is probably the greatest all-around poker player there is today.
To go in and beat the best players in the world is tough, you know, day in and day out. You have to mentally be prepared. It's nice to play against, you know, really good players, but also I just love playing poker.
Of course, we're at FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. I'm David Tuckman alongside Gary Jones.
600 to play.
If you're willing to say, Mike, I got you for another 200,000 in this game, we could play twice as high right now. But I don't have that, so I just gotta, you know,
600. What?
I want to play in my comfort zone, and I don't want you guys to take me out of my comfort zone. If I get taken out of my comfort zone, that's where you guys got an edge.
I didn't know you had a comfort zone.
Everybody's got a pain threshold.
2,000.
Just like Andy Beal took the boys to the pain threshold. The only person that
And
didn't
they
have,
lost.
the only one, yeah, no,
he lost. I mean.
no, he beat everybody out of all the money until they put the only guy in that didn't have a pain threshold. And he got all their money back. And that's the bottom line.
And now he owns
They
the
were,
World
they
Series.
were intimidated, and they felt the pain threshold, and Phil went in there paying this and got everybody's money back.
And now I think doesn't Andy own like a piece of Harris, so he owns like the World Series?
Yeah,
So.
but I'm just trying to say everybody.
Now he's getting it back.
Everybody has a pain
We just
threshold.
don't know it, but he's taking it all back. Just raise the juice a little bit, and we'll all come back.
Everybody has a pain threshold, right?
If
Chris?
they'd have showed some heart, I really would have won something.
You did. You told them, let's play. What did you tell them? You wanted to play twice as high. You wanted 1 and 2, right? They wouldn't play for 150 and 1. Or you beat them out of the 1-2. I'm trying to remember.
I do like looking at you, I'll tell you that much. It's a lot better than that internet stuff.
You like looking at him?
Well,
romance brewing.
It's true.
Can you really ask for a better flop than that?
I can't think of one.
10 cards and 8s.
You could have asked for a better turn, though. The 8 doesn't help Phil's hand. It's just a question of how quick Tom Dwan wants to play this pot.
Check.
How many barrels can he fire? Well, he checks it.
Goes check, check.
Last card. Queen.
It's a picture, but it's not quite the jack that Tom Dwan needed.
And can Dwan represent that queen?
I think he's got too much of a reputation as a bluffer right now. He needs to wait, catch a hand, and he's probably going to get paid. What does he think that Phil is calling him with on the flop that he can't call on the river? 2 small diamonds? That's just wishful thinking.
And it does go check, check. Dwan does give up.
I don't think he could have got away with a bet there. I think Phil's always going to call him.
And we get to take a look at the leaderboard here. David Benyamine with $694,000 in front of him. He's up nearly $200,000. Chris Ferguson, who was in the lead, lost that pot to Ivey. He's only up $160,000, only I say. But of course, Tom Dwan and Patrick Antonius, each of them down over $250,000. We're at the FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game. 5-time bracelet winner and New Jersey native Phil Ivey has the most chips at the table. He has over 800,000, but David Benyamine is our big winner so far. He's up almost 200,000.
What does that have to do with anything?
What are we talking about? Honorable?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. You hijack the
I'm not
conversation
talking about
for no
anything.
reason. You want to hijack the conversation, at least have a
I
reason.
just want to have fun and bust
Son, if you want to hide,
That's
is that
all
what
I
it's
want
going
to
to
do.
be, Mike? Every time you're wrong, you're just going to blah 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 blah.
La 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 la.
Daniel did the best Mike Matusow imitation I've ever seen. Bloodity bloodity blah, bloodity bloodity blah.
That was funny. That was the 04. That was a tough final
Why
table.
you even remember it? It was such a good imitation.
I know I do.
The
That was the
truth
04
hurts, son.
1000 rebuy final table that Daniel let some guys never played before. Like he kept stack paying him off. The guy didn't even was afraid to put a chip in a pot without the nuts, and him and Dwan, they kept paying him off all the chips. Do you remember that?
6,000.
I'll tell you one thing, Mike.
Against .com, I stacked off. He had the flush. I had the king.
Mikey, you might be my press agent. I can tell you.
Phil Ivey.
Cool.
Ironically, the man with no pair on the flop's the one doing the betting.
Nothing new at this table. Action over to Tom Dwan. And can he make the overcall here with second pair?
I think he can make the call.
Everybody here except for Tom, I played.
The question is,
For years.
does he put pressure on?
They're part of the group now.
I think he's not thinking about passing. I think he's thinking more about whether he should raise or not.
Well, it might not necessarily be a bad play. Phil Ivey, we know he doesn't need a hand to bet. Benyamine just called, showed a little bit of weakness. A big raise will probably take it down. And sure enough, you called it.
700.
Made it 20,700.
25,700.
25,700 rather. He's managed to get rid of Phil. He's not going to call for his gut shot. And David Benyamine lays his hand down as well. So he got that one through the young internet professional, Tom Dwan.
Don't you understand though?
$1,200 straddle from Phil Ivey.
It's very raw to just get in and do
1,200 to play.
And I'm like, yes, but
Chris Ferguson first to act.
Fold.
A playable hand for some players, but not for Chris Ferguson in first position. Huh?
To play.
No, exactly. He's definitely playing a very cautious game right now. 8-handed, first to act. He knows he's going to have to put in at least 1,200. He's going to be pretty pleased he did pass. There's Matusow with pocket kings.
700 to play.
With a 4,700 bet.
Well, he's got the Cowboys.
And pocket threes for David Benyamine. He's going to call, trying to spike a 3.
Well, it's kind of the hand that can break Matusow, isn't it?
It certainly is.
How much? 4,100 more.
Some guys get $1 million contracts. I get 20,000.
And Hellmuth thinking about his play here. Is he thinking about re-raising?
I don't know whether he's just doing a bit of kind of one-upmanship for Mike Matusow.
Seems like I should be getting paid the same as everybody.
you really want to get paid the same as everybody, Phil.
These two have been going at each other verbally.
Is it really, Phil?
Is it really? Yeah, it is.
For most of the day now, he decides to lay it down.
Pretty sure that Ivey will call this. And we'll say this three-handed. Patrick Antonius has gotten up, taken a break.
You don't have to. Cool.
He'll rejoin us shortly.
Doesn't want to see an ace, Mike. What he doesn't realise is he doesn't want to see a 3 either. Well, there's a 4 there for Phil Ivey.
I was going to say the ace, actually, he won't lose any money with the ace. The 3
Exactly.
would cost him his whole stack.
11,000.
Exactly.
Fold.
So Phil Ivey in the foreground right, and Mike Matusow, the 2 players left.
Now Ivey is out of position. He's got bottom pair with top kicker. He's a 4-to-1 dog here. Tough spot to be in.
He does. He probably thinks that if he catches a 4, he's going to get the lot off Mike.
Yeah, so just make it 26, whatever.
82 here, 84, 82, 84.
Tom Dwan talking to his fans.
Cool.
He's called. Trying to play catch up.
Turn card, jack.
Now that's a very, very dangerous card here. Not only is it the 3rd club, but it's the top pair. Can Ivey represent that?
Well, it's gone check, check.
7.
Well, he's got the king of clubs, Mike.
Check.
Check from Phil. Now, can Mike remember if he's got a club or not? I think he does.
And you imagine a value bet will come in here. A can't see Ivey calling, can you?
Forgot what I have.
He's just going to have a look back. I was right. He couldn't remember whether he had a club or not.
Pot is $37,800.
15,000.
Get a $15,000 bet from Matusow. Action back to Ivey.
The bet laying Phil 3-1 to call this bet. For it to be a profitable call. Well, he's decided.
52,000 total.
He's decided to re-raise it. Now, how much does Mike like his bet?
Well, obviously, Matusow cannot beat the ace of clubs. He also cannot beat a full house. There's a paired board out there. And that's certainly what Ivey is representing. I mean, the way this hand is played, is it possible for Ivey to have a full house here?
Let's check this on the end.
Well, I've seen Phil play an awful lot of sets on the flop, and he usually tends to play them quite quick. You'd have to kind of be a jack-6 or an ace of clubs. I got a feeling Mike's probably going to make this call.
Can't believe I'm thinking of folding this hand. I mean, none of these guys would have beat the pot and they would have laughed in my face. Oh, my, oh my.
Patrick Antonius watching from the distance. Doesn't want to disturb Mike by going back to the table. Not during the middle of a $100,000 pot.
And of course, Mike Matusow started this hand with just under $100,000.
Philly. Why do you do this to me, Philly?
The pot is nearly $105,000. 37,000 to call.
Check. Pocket sevens.
$104,000 in this pot. You could buy a brand new Mercedes S-Class with that.
$37,000. And if Phil Ivey can pull this move off, what heart? Just for this poker champion to try this. What heart? The interesting thing is that Ivey had given up on the pot. He's ready to check and just give it up. But Matusow's bet, he's reopened the betting, and Ivey.
It's the problem with trying to make a little value bet, try and get a caller with a half hand. He's put himself in this spot by trying to be greedy. I don't blame him for the bet at all. I think I make exactly the same bet.
I'm sorry. This is really a big.
And it's not an easy call. And remember that Matusow did make that very thin call against Tom Dwan and paid him off earlier. Doesn't want to make the same mistake here. Mike the mouth. So quiet. $37,000.
You can almost feel the pain in Mike.
Same.
Talking about
that
a lot
same
of money
hand I
here.
folded you against you there, Phil, when you had to do 7 with the club.
Two kings with the king and club. Two queens with too small. You wouldn't have thought that long.
No. Not really.
Oh, wow. And he
And he's
throws
laid
it
it
away.
down.
Oh, my. He's going to be sick. And is Ivey going to show this?
I had the ace.
You can't have the ace of club, right?
I had 2 aces with the ace of club.
Fair with you. It's a good play. Whatever.
What did you have, the queen of club or something?
No.
And the best players in the game love to punish those thin value bettors, and that's Ivey doing it. What a champion. What heart. I mean, that's the reason why he is one of the most feared players at any poker table. And we get a look at the new leaderboard here. David Benyamine at the top, up nearly $200,000. Bill Ivey with that move, what a move there. He's up nearly $30,000. He has $829,000 behind him. Mike Matusow takes a big hit. He is now down $33,000.
Well, I'm afraid that's where we're going to have to leave it for now from the FullTiltPoker.net $1 million cash game. But with over $2 million in play at the table at the moment, it is the Frenchman David Benyamine who is the man to catch. Next time out, we'll find out if any of these other strong contenders can overhaul him. But from all of us for now, it is goodbye.